It's the music recording network.
Out of the shower to the bedroom,
Slip on something fresh.
from the bedroom to the studio.
To react to the best.
If your day is blown, we crank to the morn. Make sure your sub is on while we playing your song.
And it's gonna be on.
We rock 3 channels up here on this YouTube stream, and we always let our subscribers know that they are supreme. Haters stand by cause we so fly. React to the beat cause I'm that guy to move you all night long. Why I tell you what's happening in this song. Music make me crazy, baby, do it for me louder. Viewers know my cross keep on bumping with the song. I'ma make you sweat until they turn the house lights on. After party at the Music Recording Network. What is up? What is up, YouTube? Check this out. The female lawyer, Ariel, is the lawyer that was representing Courtney, and I'm hoping that it's a different video out there where LaTanya and Jaguar was actually talking to her, but I know a lot of people, when she first hit the scene, a lot of people heard the same thing I heard, which was she's a lawyer that they go to shop things on the dark or the black web or the dark web, you know. So my main man Sean, y'all go check his channel out, is gonna ask her some questions, and let's just check it out. Y'all hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Let's check this bad boy out. Here we go.
When you were getting interviewed around this scenario that this viewer questions brought up, you said that you were sent stills of famous people that were allegedly compromised, and it appeared they didn't know that they were being filmed. And we've had Suge Knight did an interview, it come out yesterday on Michael Francese's channel, and he's alleging that Justin Bieber and Usher that Justin Bieber was sent on romantic vacations with successful men, and he's made allegations about Clive Davis and all these other people as well. So, you know, when you saw these stills, did you think they were authentic? And if you did think they were authentic, were you like shocked that, or is this just par for the course for your work?
You know, it was shocking because this isn't the kind of work that I do. Since then, I've seen a lot more sexual based content than I would have liked to have seen, because now people are synonymizing me to the celebrity sex tape world. So saying all of this to say, I saw a still via FaceTime, so I was not sent anything. It was disclosed to me that there may be the situation may arise that this person was not 18. So because there was even a remote possibility that this person was not 18, I did not want to receive anything, because then we're getting into child pornography receiving, which are all crimes. So we got on a FaceTime and they showed me the still. Ultimately, I shocked in a sense that I was shocked to see what I was seeing and that it existed. I have no reason to believe it's not real. You know, it makes sense to be real. I did consult with some of my other clients who I knew to be associated with the person at the time. And they asked a lot of poignant questions like, well, what did this, what did this, what did this? And, you know, I feel like even if I revealed the client who I have, if anybody goes and figures it out, I'm pretty much been public with a lot of my celebrity clients. But saying all that to say, that person made me feel like maybe it was AI. I didn't know. I've never seen AI, but I have no reason to purport that it was fake or AI. I have no reason to question the people who told me it was authentic, and that's until otherwise proven, that's what I have to go off of.
All right, so we've had Mr. 𝗗𝗢𝗡𝗞𝗦 on the channel a few times. Very interesting character. And we watched you getting interviewed coming out of the court, the grand jury. And the most common question that's getting asked in the chat is about your relationship with 𝗗𝗢𝗡𝗞𝗦. So here's a question from Lee. Who put Ariel in contact with Courtney and Todd? That's the question.
Well, I had been in contact with Todd prior, and that was the only person I knew. And then I got a call 2 days before that grand jury hearing from Courtney. and saying that they had come to his home and that he needed representation. So prior to 2 days, October 28th, I did not know who Courtney Burgess was.
Okay. And this grand jury stuff then, because there's so much controversy around the book. You know, originally it came out and there was all this news, and then Amazon kicked it off and people were saying that it was fake. But the more these allegations come out in the context of this book putting together years ago, it kind of authenticates it. So is the fact that Courtney was called into the grand jury, in your opinion, does that authenticate what's in the book as well? Because it seems that the feds are looking at this as potential evidence against Diddy. Is that correct, or am I going down the wrong road?
I can't say what the feds are not looking into. I couldn't tell, and even if I did know, I wouldn't be able to tell. But to the point of authentication and solidifying Mr. Burgess, they aren't calling everybody. How many civil lawsuits are there going on right now? None of those people have been called to the grand jury. So I think there's something also to denote that Mr. Burgess also does not have a lawsuit against Diddy. So I think that kind of takes away even from the credibility. You know, if even one of the victims to have them who has an ongoing lawsuit, that kind of lends to them being less credible, because of course they have a vested interest in having this person convicted. So who knows what they may say. But somebody like Mr. Burgess, who has no dog in this fight, who has no lawsuit, who stands to benefit nothing from Diddy getting off or going to jail, he on its face becomes a more credible witness. And he seems to be somebody who the court has determined has knowledge that they were interested in. So to that, at minimum, we can take that from it.
So was that grand jury hearing solely for Courtney to come to?
Yes.
Oh, wow. And the second hearing, I believe it was scheduled for yesterday. What happened to that?
Let me say, the time we were to arrive was solely for him. I don't know what happened before or after that, but the time we were scheduled to come was for him, yes.
Okay, and he's supposed to go back to the grand jury, is he?
No, we don't have to go back. We were able to make a deal with the government to close our testimony from when we were there previously.
So does that mean that evidence that's come about from Courtney will be taken into consideration now?
I have no idea what the government plans to do with information. It's theirs now to decide what to do with.
Okay. All right. So I'll give you another viewer question then. And that is from Gordon. And he wants to know, when will more be said about the minors in the Diddy case?
I don't know anything about minors in relation to this. I know there have been allegations with minors that have come out recently. They've all mainly come from Tony Busby. So, you know, I haven't seen any other attorneys who are, you know, me, Tyrone Blackburn. There are some other attorneys involved in this who I haven't seen any of us talk about any minors. So I don't have any knowledge of minor activity.
All right, you got a question from
other than the situation I had with the video, but I still don't have any direct knowledge of that.
Do you think it's likely that a criminal charge will be added, a minor one, to Diddy's?
It's hard for me to say because I'm not privy to who they brought in terms of grand jury testimony. So any further indictments, any further counts, any further victims would be a decision for the grand jury to make.
Okay. All right. So you got a question from SS on the YouTube post here. It says, why does Google state images of Courtney may have been removed for data protection? And why is there no images of him from the past except recent years?
Well, I think it's important to understand, first of all, how old Mr. Burgess is. And also, people can't control their likeness. My client in my case in California, she has no pictures. The media is going crazy because they can't find any pictures or images of my client. So people fail to understand there are very little images of me online. I've been able to successfully control my image online. So people should probably understand that the other side of this is the only thing that is available online is the things you put on there. So I think Mr. Burgess has been very meticulous about what he's been able to place or that's been discoverable on the internet.
Wow. Yeah. So that's just giving you a warm up to start off on the next set of questions and different things that they had for her. So y'all check this out right here.
Callie is asking, why do you think the Diddy stuff is coming out now? Is the timing suspicious to you?
In my opinion, it's been a long time coming. I've been ringing this Diddy bell for some time now. So to me, it seems like God's timing is divine timing. So I won't ever question the timing of anything. I don't think it's suspicious. I think it happened right when it needs to.
So Lionel, this is Ariel. Ariel, meet Lionel. Lionel's former prosecutor.
Counselor, how are you? We have a lot in common.
Oh, we do. Tell me.
Are you a native Floridian?
I am not. I'm from Chicago.
Okay, was a native Floridian from the 13th Judicial Circuit. I was a former state attorney there. My wife will be speaking with you, Lynn Shaw from Lynn's Warriors.
Yes, I love Lynn. That's your. Oh wow, yes,
that is my better half and Lynn's
Excellent.
Warriors. And this is, and I want to tell you something too,
right.
Sean. If you let me get a word in here, just kidding. I love this. Don't let him fool you. Don't let him fool you. Sean's the only one who, if the screen froze, you wouldn't know it. He gets up, he leaves. Anyway.
Yeah, I like
we
Sean.
Are a part of. My wife has been extolling your virtues because, as you know, Ariel, counselor, there is a kind of a circuit. There's a group of people. You with you've been on the same shows together, and she has been devoted to the notion of human trafficking and the like forever. And the question that Sean asks is, why now? And it's a great question. And if you can ever figure that one out, let me know. So first of all, bless your heart. I'm a native Floridian, like I told you, 13th. I was, I got to tell you this much. When I worked for the state attorney's office, I saw a lot of stuff, as you can imagine. And what was the sickest to me, Ariel and Sean, is things involving what we called a dependency then. I don't know if they still have that, but it was dependency in a circuit court. And this is when a child is dependent upon the state for protection. I saw the nastiest, most horrible examples of inhumanity there that I ever saw, ever. And when you immerse yourself in this, Ariel, you'll find yourself kind of innocently going into it, and you will be astounded at the absolute savagery that people hold towards each other. And lawyers like you have to be very careful, because if you come into contact with information which later on is indeed documenting sexual miscreants with children, you're in possession of it. Absolutely. So how do you what do you say? Wait a minute, I didn't. It's an area that very few people know anything about. So my hats off and my heart goes out to you, because it's vile.
It's so funny you say that, because we do have more things in common, Lionel, which I also worked as general counsel for DCF. So Department of Children and Families here, and for Monroe counties and Miami-Dade County. And part of what I did was competency restoration court. So as you probably know, in Florida, when you're determined incompetent to proceed, you get brought to the custody of DCF for competency restoration services. So I've seen a lot in terms of criminal court, things people were convicted of, things people were accused of, things that happened while they were in custody of the state. So I definitely have a lot of understanding of what you're saying about.
Listen to this one to show you what an old timer. I graduated from law school from Stetson in '83. So 83.
Shout out to Stetson. They gave me a full scholarship, but I chose UM. I chose to pay to go to UM.
Wow, he graduated 3 years before I did. In '83, I graduated in '86. Actually, it would have been 1 year because I stayed back twice.
Okay.
I don't know. I was living in Tampa at the time, and Stetson gave me a full ride, offered me a full scholarship, and I instead decided to go to UM.
And I was born in Tampa, second generation.
Oh, okay.
Forgive us, John, please. We got a couple of homies here. To show you what an OG I am, it was called HRS when I did it.
Oh, wow.
And competency and restoration, you got to read what this is another issue, but what they're doing involving conservatorships and how those are being abused. Wendy Williams, Britney Spears, Diane Diamond, a great friend of mine, wrote a great book on this. And you will know this when you say, oh, family court, and it sounds so innocuous. It is the most bloodthirsty.
It's horrible.
And the worst is termination of parental rights, TPR.
Oh, TPR court is terrible.
The worst. Worst. And I mean, somebody.
I was gonna, when I left DCF, it was so funny because I was actually gonna start specializing in representing the people against DCF. I can not braggadociously, honestly say I was the best attorney DCF ever had. I defended things against rule challenges. I pretty much learned the ins and outs, and there's no DCF Florida case that I can't beat. So, please don't call me about DCF Florida cases.
Oh, no. Oh.
But, I mean, if you're really in a pickle, maybe I'll come help.
No,
I can beat the pants off of them. But I do know how brutal those courts were. I served as a general magistrate for the department in some of those cases, so I know pretty much all forms of how that worked. It was that's why I went to private practice. I worked also for the federal government and the state government because I really did want to provide my civic duty in terms of being an attorney. But I feel like this is better served for me and the people. I'm
going to throw one more in for you, and we'll stop all the shop talk. The words that used to scare the hell out of me were the guardians ad litem. These pain in the ass busybodies that say, "Would you go away? Would you go back to the Gardenia Club or something? Get out of here, old lady. Get out of here."
Yes, those have been very fun. I have a case right now. We have a missing guardian ad litem. So we're trying to find where they are.
Missing. So you're going to have an action to find.
Yes,
I had
to discover where they are, where their report is,
wow,
what they've done. And we've been at a stalemate because we've been unable to find this guardian. So I still do family court in Florida. I do have regular clients who I represent every day in state court in Florida. So, I'm in family court a lot. I'm very passionate about families.
Well, let's talk about this. I'm going to ask this question of you, and this is my favorite question. And I always, every good lawyer says, okay, what would and how would I represent Diddy? What are the strong points? Now, if Diddy sits back and says, all right, counselor, go ahead. You and everybody else, look, I'm never getting out of prison. That's it for me. I'm going to run the clock out. I'm going to have you find, if you get $1,500 when I get done, this is mortgage to the hilt. There's no equity in anything. I've got liens and attorneys. Good luck. Call your first case, counselor. Tee it up. Let's go. You got 200. I'll go through each one. I've got nothing to lose.
Right.
That's one of the biggest problems. Another one is, what about this? You work with somebody and you say, okay, I'm going to make a deal with you. I represent somebody who was criminally assaulted, let's say allegedly, putatively by Mr. Combs. Okay, fine. You work out a deal. Prosecutor then comes and says, well, I'm going to prosecute him because of this. And Diddy said, wait a minute, I just signed a settlement. You go, no, that's a civil. So then you've got to coordinate, sometimes you would hope, with the prosecutor who is looking for justice, not money, justice. And let me ask this question. Where the hell are the parents? How does this happen? Not that excuses anybody, but where are the parents? Where Diddy's parents should be joined in, not Diddy, Bieber's parents and everybody else. How does this happen? Who allows this? It's one thing when there's an adult who consensually agrees to some kind of a party or something, but children? And this business about I've got 24-hour or 48-hour guardianship. I don't know what the hell that means. This is what I mean. Do you see how tangled this is, Sean? It's like a Gordian knot of it's not clear cut. You know, a victim, defendant, boom. It's victim, accomplice, aiding, abetting, counseling, procuring, hiring, neglect, starstruck parent. I mean, it's horrible.
Yeah, I feel like, there's a lot happening. I don't know too much about any minors, at least all the cases that I'm involved in, or at least the cases. I know there are some cases that have been filed involving minors. I do think there's culpability
10-year-old
in terms of where the parents are. Because some of the cases we heard were children being brought to Diddy to audition for various things. We know Usher, his mother gave Diddy custody for a whole year when he was like 15 or something. Like, what parent gives a random stranger custody of their child for the sole purpose of music stardom? But that's another question that goes into, parents' failed dreams and trying to live their failures through their children, and, and being poor and being single parents, and again, circling back to failure, right? So, I think that's a subset of things, of issues. And then we have this other subset of issues where Diddy was like the banks, right? Too big to fail. And he had so much protection around him because the powers that be, all of the people, entities, were dependent upon him to not fail. So the system propped him up in a way and protected him to where he was able to commit so many crimes. But the problem is the universe exists. So the universe has watched Diddy commit all these crimes over the past 30 plus years, and a reckoning day comes. And we're just here now where we're seeing his reckoning day happen in real time in front of us.
Well, you mentioned about too big to fail as well. One of the things is, my question is, who has all of the evidence? Who has the hard drives? Who has a thumb drive? There is a fellow whose name, Sean, we will not mention, but he was a fellow who was held in federal custody, who was, and he was involved in perhaps dalliances with some of the biggest names on the planet.
Yes.
And nobody has ever had an inventory or an accounting of all of the hard drives and thumb drives and the pictures, because his homes were basically recording studios. Now, where are those? Because
I would imagine he has them. I imagine if the feds didn't give them, he has them backed up. I have a drive where I have I don't want to say stuff I shouldn't have, but things that I have backed up into a third-party drive in a foreign country that I can remote access. I would imagine he has the same. I mean, he's been rich way longer than I have. So, I would imagine he has drives somewhere in a third-party location, and whatever the feds were able to get, they have now. And what they don't have, he, of course, isn't going to give it up until he needs to blackmail somebody.
Well, in the case of this fellow who was dispatched here in New York, whose name begins with an E, in this case, that's what I was referring to, because the two biggest industries in the world today are human trafficking and extortion. And you mentioned force, fraud, coercion, or threat in order to obtain something. But one of the things I have to ask is, who would have this? And one of the things which people have to understand,
the federal government. I mean, wouldn't they have everything? I mean, what the answer to that question is, the feds have everything. So I would have to believe that the feds had that and have had that, and they have no intention of anybody seeing it. That's their to collect.
My innocent waif, you. Well, I would think theoretically that would, but there might be foreign countries and agents. I don't want to get too deep. As
right. I mean,
a rabbit hole.
The people who have power would be the first people I would go to and say,
right. Let me ask this question. Always look also for attorneys. Does the attorney-client privilege survive death? Let's assume you represented Mr. Combs and you said, listen, I've got this stuff, whatever it is, and I want you, Mr. Attorney, to hold this for me. something, God forbid, purely hypothetically, it happens. He is dispatched. Who would then be able to have that? It's almost like a bar exam question.
Right. It's a very, very good hypo for a contracts exam.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, give me PTSD. Why don't you? I mean, I would think it would be, even though they're not deceased, if you contracted with this person to carry out this service, even posthumous, however it is, I would imagine that you would be obligated. And then if you didn't, then the state would come after you for breach of contract. That would be my basic analogy to that.
And if a lawyer were either a deliberate or an inadvertent dupe and let's say co-conspirator with the government or represented other governments, this gets really good.
Well, I was about to say, it's no such thing as being a co-conspirator with the government because you're not a conspirator. You can't be in a conspiracy with the government, apparently.
Believe it or not, you can. In some jurisdictions, you can't, because the old common law used to be two guilty parties who were confederate.
Right, I do, but they have chopped away at our common law so badly to take away the protections. I miss the common law, but here we are today with all of these exceptions. When we have so many exceptions, is the law still the law anymore? I don't think it is.
But this is what
point.
We have to now remember with Diddy. Is this really about parties and that sort of thing? Probably not. What if let's assume by virtue of something I come into contact with a virtual trove, a bevy of pictures of the biggest stars in the firmament. Okay. Mm-hmm. By the way, interestingly, happened to at the last minute appear for a certain political campaign, but that's a different story. Do you know what I can do with that? I can change the course of leveraging. Let's assume, Sean, I represent something and I'm in the middle of some very serious investigation with a country. Let's say it's, I don't know, I have information of, let's say, Prince Andrew. I don't know. And derivative matters. Do you know what I could do with that? Do you know what I could do with that when I'm talking about huge multi-billion-dollar defense plans, cloud technology? I mean, and I say, by the way, this may act as an incentive. Oh, yes. Why didn't you mention that? Oh, let's sign on that. You can't help but be, dare I say, conspiratorial in this. If you don't, you're going to miss the whole thing.
Lionel is so funny, man. That is my man. I learned a lot from him. And Ariel. One of the things that he mentioned that I just heard was the blackmail thing. Human trafficking is the biggest problem. We thought the drug problem and drugs and stuff was the biggest problem. Human trafficking and what you call it when you extortion. When you bribe somebody. And that's what Puffy was doing with all this stuff, man. Can you imagine? And I'm going to keep saying this, man. People are not realizing what's happening. You got all these celebrities, LeBron James, all these people at this party, and they having fun and drinking. And you got this slick, nasty person spiking everybody's drinks. And they turn it into zombies. I don't know what this horse tranquilizer stuff or whatever it is. I also heard Misha said that snake venom cures it. Because the first time she mentioned the snake venom, I thought that you get weed, ecstasy, liquor, beer, horse tranquilizer, and venom. Like, god dang, that's way too much drugs. Cocaine, heroin, venom. I thought venom was on this side. Then I started listening to what she was saying. She's saying if you got the horse tranquilizer, you can take the venom and that supersedes it where you back to normal again. Dude, this is a big old circle. So now you got Puffy giving people this drug, and then you kind of fiend for it, because one of the girls Miss English. I'm gonna call her Miss English. She has said that you kind of start depending on this stuff and you start feeling for it or craving for it. So you need, before the parties even start, you already asking for it. You know, you try to take a little bit of it, and they see, you know, you blacked out, daggone there. You out of it. So, dang. All right. So it's beyond a reasonable doubt that these people, she's saying that even if you are a straight man, you take these drugs, you can't stop your body from doing what they telling you to do. Go have sex with that man. Go have sex with that man. And I'm sitting here like, I don't care what drug I'm on. I ain't having sex with no man because I'm not like that. I ain't having sex with no animal because I'm not like that. She said people would have with exotic fishes flown in from all over the world, animals and all this stuff. And Diddy is recording it. And now I have copies of some wicked stuff you have done. And you don't want your wife to see it. You don't want your husband to see it. You don't want your kids to see it. You don't want your fans to see it. Millions and millions of dollars. Cough it up. Probably had them on a yearly budget. I'm gonna get on up out of here. Thank y'all so much. Y'all take it light, take it slow. Y'all tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out.